Well, it was worth the wait for Portsmouth, wasn't it? They won the League Two title in 2017, but after expecting to follow that up with another promotion for the next 7 years, it was at the seventh attempt that Portsmouth finally returned to the Championship, and they did it under John Mousinho in his first full season as a rookie manager, having been registered as a player coach at Oxford United only the year before, just before January when he was appointed. So an incredible start for John Mousinho's managerial career. Will that continue in the Championship? Big step up for the rookie. How's he going to handle that jump? And how are Portsmouth going to handle that jump? They're going to have to recruit smartly, but they've got an esteemed sporting director there in Richard Hughes. What's possible for Pompey in the Championship? That's what we're going to find out in this Summer Deep Dive. Yes, welcome along to the latest EFL Debate Summer Deep Dive, one of 72 we're doing across the EFL, club by club, between mid-June and mid-July. Already the full set for League Two uploaded to YouTube and Spotify, a few for League One as well. Give us a subscribe if you fancy. And for now, I'm delighted to be joined by Portsmouth fan and analyst Jack Hancock of HancockAnalysis. Jack, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll throw you the question then. What's possible for Portsmouth in the Championship?
I think if we're being incredibly positive and optimistic, I think potentially mid-table. I can see a world conceivably where Portsmouth do push for mid-table, but honestly, I take 21st. That's all that matters, is staying up, and then for the next couple of years, just building, and trying to get promoted to the Premier League one day. But there's not a huge rush to do that. I'd say it's just survival's all that matters.
For right now, yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Talk to me about about last season's achievements and what was the key to it.
It was a mixture of things, really. Rich Hughes. I don't think we get promoted without Rich Hughes. He is the most valuable asset of the football club, even surpassing Colby Bishop, John Mousinho, Xini Yengi. If Rich Hughes goes, I'm severely worried. Culture was a big one, and that was set by the coaching staff. And just willingness to win and fight for each other. You saw so many times I think we had something like 10 season-ending injuries or something stupid like that. Loads of surgeries, loads of suspensions, whatever. But somehow we kept going and we looked better every time we got an injury. I mean, you look at Tom McIntyre, I think it's 50 minutes into his debut, got a red card and a season-ending injury, and he was supposed to do a replacement for Regan Poole. And then Raggett steps up and we coast really. And in the end, it was quite stress-free, weirdly enough.
Yeah, what probably wasn't the ending to the season you were expecting after all those injuries. You were expecting it to go right to the wire, maybe. But again, talk to me. You touched on Rich Hughes there, and just talk to me about why you think he's one of the most important people, or as important as anyone at Portsmouth Football Club.
I'd say just his clarity of thought and his ability to find undervalued assets that represent good value in the short term and then potential long term value. Whereas for years of football club, we fell into the trap of loans, journeymen, has-beens, mercenaries. That completely changed when Rich Hughes came in. And as soon I remember that first transfer window, he brought, I think it's Riley Towler, Paddy Lane, Matt Macy, Deshaun Bernard. All four had a good impact. All four good characters, and it's stuff like that. And remember last summer, Connor Shaughnessy. People, even I didn't rate him hugely. I thought he'd be a squad player, best defender in the League One, I'd say, last season. It's Xini Yengi. I'd never even heard of him. I don't think most people have heard of him. Got him for about, I think it's 45k or something like that.
Right.
And he went on to have one of the best minutes per goal ratios in the EFL.
I mean, that is like that's just incredible recruitment. That to get someone like Xini Yengi for 45k, just unbelievable.
Bargains.
Yeah, absolutely. But then talk to me about the impact John Mousinho's had, Jack, because the biggest thing that stood out to me from the outside about John Mousinho is he's so good at framing challenges as opportunities, and he's so good at Yeah, reframing things really, because I think he's able to put a positive. He's able to sort of reframe challenges in a really positive way, and not that he sort of. I'm sure he has a steely side to himself as well, but that sort of positivity for me makes him a really effective modern leader.
Yeah, so I'm really interested in sports psychology, and there's a theory called attribution theory. I might have mentioned it to you once, and it's essentially it's how you attribute successes and failures. I won't get into it too deeply, but and
Go
then
on.
well, I can't remember the complete theory to be completely honest with you, but the basic premise is what you attribute success and failures to. Is it in your control? Is it out your control? Is it internal, external? And based on how you do that, you can see massive impacts on your performance, on your confidence, on the mental side of things. And John Mousinho is just a master of that. His press conferences post game are just an absolute delight to watch because they're so level. They're so there's such clarity of thought. There's no waffle. There's no sycophanting. And then, as you say, yeah, every now and again he'll come out and he'll look quite angry. And then that rather than kind of always being happy or always being angry, you're on your toes a bit. And yeah, he's the master. And I've never seen anything like it from a rookie manager at Portsmouth. And me, and I think most people found it a bit insane when he was first hired. I don't think that's a bad thing to say, but I think I was luckily I got on board quite quickly with what he wanted to do because
Mm.
yeah, he's going right to the very top.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I'm really excited about the John Mousinho's career as a manager. I suppose if I was to play a bit of a devil's advocate here, I would say that the Championship is a different level. So we've seen excellent sort of psychologists like Gareth Ainsworth, who in League One and League Two, they're really able to motivate people and appeal to people on a psychological level and get people believing in themselves. Um, but the Championship is a massive technical and tactical test. Are you confident that John Mousinho has what it takes to adapt from that point of view to that level?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think his
Mhm.
brand of football translates pretty well. It's not like completely gung ho where you're scoring three but you're conceding two each game. It's 1-0s, it's 2-1s. So I don't worry too much there. Um, so I think we'll be all right. I think the biggest thing is recruitment, and I've been pretty impressed with our buys so far. I've not had concerns about any of them, to be honest. I think they've all been pretty good. And it's for me, it's just about can we get some of those returning players that like a Tino Andrin or an Alex Robertson.
Mhm.
Abu Kamara's not coming back. Unfortunately, that's never happening. But I think if
You've
you can
just
get some,
accepted
yeah.
it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can't wait to watch him rip it up for Norwich this year. That'd be good fun. But yeah, I don't worry too much. I think we'll be okay.
Okay. So well, let's have a look at the squad. I suppose starting with the goalkeeping situation. You've got Toby Stewart, who's a very talented young goalkeeper. I imagine based on the signing of Jordan Archer, are we looking at a loan for Toby Stewart? Do you think Toby Stewart?
Yeah, should do. He was phenomenal for Gosport this season. And seemingly quite a good character. He spent a bit of time around St George's Park, certain England duties. So yeah, hopefully he gets loaned out to the National League or the National League South this season because he has got like he's just when you watch a player and you just know they've got it in them to just
Mhm.
really impress for the first team. A couple of years time, he will really be challenging for that number one spot. I'm sure of it.
Wow. Okay. So hopefully he can continue his trajectory. In the number one jersey at the moment, Jack is Will Norris. Now he's a goalkeeper who maybe is a little bit untested as a number one at championship level. So again, are you confident that he's got what it takes to make that step up?
Yeah, I do. I love Will Norris. I think he's fantastic. My biggest concern is still claiming crosses and commanding his box.
Mhm.
He's hasn't improved much over the last year with that. Everything else he can do fine. Great shot stopper, really good 1v1, great with the ball at his feet. It's just the command of his area, which I do have concerns about, but he'll be fine. I think he'll be fine.
Okay. Well, hopefully he can improve on those other areas of his game in terms of commanding the area. Um, But yeah, I think the shot stopping is gonna come in handy, I'm sure. You've signed Jordan Williams now. This is somebody who at Barnsley had a fantastic 22-23 campaign at right wing back, where he combined brilliantly with Adam Phillips from midfield, and they forged a great relationship and were really key to creating a lot of chances. But although he's done well before as a wing back, he's also had to fill in on the right of a back three for Barnsley last season because of their defensive issues. So again, this is someone who can play at both right wing back and right centre back. So you'd think that right back could be a good spot for him because it allows him to use his athleticism in those 1v1 duels, but it also allows him to get forward when at times as well.
Yeah, I think he profiles pretty well as a Joe Rafferty replacement. He'll be the fullback that's given responsibility to get high and also on the underlap. I do have some concerns about his technical ability. I was chatting to Ali Maxwell about it a couple of weeks ago, and fantastic athlete, really good experience, good leader, decent defender, versatile. But I think his technical ability leaves a bit to be desired. So we'll see if he can improve on that. But as a stopgap, or at least just for the next 2 years, you can do much, much worse than Jordan Williams at right back.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think for me, it's going to depend on who you've got linking up with him, because I think he's very good with his direct running. I think he's very good at creating some space for maybe more technical players. So it's whether you've got players on the flank with him that are a bit more creative. I suppose we might as well jump to the right wing back spot to kind of carry on that theme. I mean, do you think you'll be looking for a right-sided player that can bring a little bit of quality to sort of feed off the work of someone like Jordan Williams?
So what position was that again? Sorry.
Sorry, right wing. Yeah, so kind of
Uh,
the
yes, yeah. I mean, yeah, we've been linked with Jezron Raksaki. I don't think that will
oh, now
happen
you're
currently.
talking, mate.
Yeah, I mean, I would love that to happen, but I think maybe it's been called a little bit. We will be looking for, I think, at least two more wingers. I see Anthony Scully being loaned out or sold. I think we'll keep Gavin White around, providing he's happy. But we definitely need one or two on the right wing options. I think our right wing options at the moment are Paddy Lane, Callum Lang to an extent, and that's it really. So I think yeah, someone who's direct, creative, good eye for goal, and can exploit the space that Williams opens up will be very, very much appreciated.
Is Gavin White going to be up to championship level, Jack? Because you could maybe question his form over the last couple of seasons. I really liked him when he first came in at Oxford, but that's like, what, 5 years ago now?
Mm.
And then he got a move to Cardiff. For me, unless I'm missing something, I feel like since he moved to Cardiff, I feel like he's not done an awful lot.
He's definitely on a downward curve, but for me, he'd only be a squad player as well, but he has some really, really nice qualities. He's quick. He's exceptional against the ball, really good
Okay,
defensively.
that's good.
So I remember there were a couple of games late in the last season where big games as well, like Peterborough away. I mean, Bolton at home kind of in November, but those kind of games. And he was given responsibility of starting. And he did all right. He did all right. It's just for me, it's confidence with Gavin. When he
Okay.
has to when he has to think about things, he can really struggle.
Mhm.
When he's playing on instinct, he's quite capable. But I think for those kind of defensive qualities and his speed, I think he's worth keeping around just because
Mm.
not many other players in the squad offer that at the top end of the pitch from wide areas.
That makes sense. However, I suppose I'm hopefully Gavin White can build up his confidence back, because I know when he first came in at Oxford, he was a very exciting player, and like you mentioned, he's got that ability against the ball. I guess I'm just thinking, if we're thinking you got Jordan Williams at right back, sorry, I think that the right-sided player has to be able to offer. Has to be someone like a Jezra and Raksaki who's really going to make the most of the space that Jordan Williams can create. Because if you've got two honest workers, the the equilibrium's going to be a bit off. I think you need the industry of Jordan Williams and probably the quality of someone further forward.
Yeah,
So
I guess.
hopefully, go on.
Well, the thing with so Zach Swanson is kind of in limbo at the moment. I think he's probably get released, but he is such a technical right back, can move inside, can go on the overlap, whatever. I think if Zach Swanson doesn't renew, we need to sign someone of that profile.
Right.
and then you can then a White and a Swanson can sort of work, but also White can play. He can play as a number 10 to an extent. Can play off the left. He'll work really hard for the team.
Yeah.
He'd just be a nice little squad player. I wouldn't expect him to start much, if at all,
Mhm.
but just as a good option around the training ground.
Yeah, absolutely, and clearly he's got a great attitude. So hopefully he can surprise a few of us. So centre backs then. At the moment, now remind me where Regan. Do you know where Regan Poole is at in terms of his fitness recovery? Is he going to be fit for the start of the season or
I think I heard late August.
late
I
August?
think.
Okay, so yeah, not too far off. Okay, so you got Regan Poole there. Is Tom McIntyre in fit again? Do you know or?
Yeah. I believe it's fit again.
Perfect. Okay. So you got three centre halves. So that looks like quite a good position because we know Regan Poole, if he can get back to those prior levels after injury, he's gonna be more than good enough at championship level. Very confident of that. Connor Shaughnessy was your best, most consistent defender over the course of last season. You got Tom McIntyre, who's got experience at championship level, and you got Riley Towler as well, who's not a bad alternative option. So you feeling quite well stocked for centre halves?
I'd look to bring one in because I'd want to see Riley Towler go out on loan. I think he needs a year of football under his belt. He's got a lot to learn. I really like Riley, and he was showing some promising signs whenever he filled in last season. But yeah, for me, I think if you loan out Riley, you can bring in another option who can play 30 plus championship games in the season without their development being delayed or hindered.
Mhm. Yeah, let's hope that's the case. Could do with a good loan maybe in League One, so possibly one more. But we mentioned Connor Shaughnessy at the top of the show, and I guess it's going to be really interesting to see how he steps up because he was fantastic last season.
Yeah, I didn't see it coming at all. I don't think many people did, so I'm not sure I'm in the minority of that, but just so impressive. Strong, leader, really, really, really good on the ball, can step out into midfield with it. He plays these outside the boot passes sometimes, and they don't always come off, but just he has just the cojones just to attempt stuff. Um, and yeah, if you put him in the middle of a back three in possession or whatever, I think in the championship at least he'll do so well. It's just so dominant. That'd be the word I'd use for Shaughnessy.
Mm. Yeah, well, hopefully that can translate to championship level. And then Regan Poole, the biggest thing for me that stands out to me about Regan Poole is his leadership qualities. After you won at Barnsley, when he was saying minimum now, minimum, I would have I would have got on the pitch and played for Regan Poole. Do you know what I mean? So it's like I think that sort of leadership quality is going to be really important at championship level, and I just hope that he can come back and hit those same levels that he was before the injury without putting too much pressure on him, of course.
Yeah, I mean, as well as the leadership, he's just an unbelievable defender.
Mhm.
Just so good, so proactive, really aggressive, but in a good way. Also incredible on the ball, especially kind of on that right channel. Just carries it forward or plays passes into midfield and unlocks players. Just like genuinely the complete package. I don't know how he'll come back from this ACL injury because sometimes they come back and they're a shadow themselves. Sometimes they come back even stronger because you can grow from those moments. But yeah, I miss him so much. I see pictures of him. My girlfriend gifted me like this big like poster type thing of like people players' faces, a picture of the title left in the middle, and Regan's face is in the corner. I just get sad every time I see it because I miss him deeply.
Oh dear. It sounded like you're talking about your girlfriend, or yeah, it's like
Yeah, for her sake, I'm talking about her. For my sake, it's about Regan Paul.
brilliant. So Tom McIntyre again, he's someone you didn't see too much of last season because it was 50 minutes into his debut that he got an injury. But again, I do think. Do you think the fact that he's played at the championship level before means that he knows what to expect? I guess because he was a regular at Reading previously, wasn't he?
Yeah, I like Tom, and it's never blown me away whenever I've watched him. But he's just a solid defender.
Mhm.
I do have some concerns about him, but I have concerns about all the players. That's normal. And yeah, it's a shame he got injured already because, well, I mean, weirdly enough, he got sent off for the tackle that got him a broken, I think it was a broken ankle in the end.
Mhm.
So yeah, the EFL officiating strikes again, but yeah, he'll be a really good option this season. I wouldn't expect him to start loads, I don't think, but I can see a reality in which we move to a back three at some point, and then at that point you've got Conor Ogilvie, who can also play at centre back in a back three. So yeah, we're really good for options. Could just do one more, I think.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. So left back Jack Sparks. I think probably the big question about Jack Sparks is he going to be good enough defensively for championship level? Because we know that he can be really dangerous going forward. We know that he's got a great relationship already linked up with Paddy Lane. But I'd be very surprised if he was going to be your first choice left back going into the opening day.
Yeah, I'd be quite worried if he was our first choice left back going into the opening day. I mean, I have a lot of respect for Jack. I think technically he's so gifted, but defensively, um, sometimes you can get by on fullbacks if they're just okay defensively, but they get high and wide, whatever. But Jack is like quite worrying off the ball. He has improved a bit in fairness since he signed, so there is development there, and he can keep going and keep developing. These are skills that can be taught and worked on. But I remember there was a couple of games last season. I think it was Blackpool at home and Leyton Orient at home that really stood out, and I was quite worried. But then there were games like Peterborough away where he really held his own. So
Mhm.
it's just I think I'd probably if Jack got loaned out, I'd be fine with it. But if he got kept around as an option off the bench, I wouldn't have concerns either. I think he works really well with Sammy Silvera in theory. So there are some great qualities there, but it's just his speed as well. His mobility. He doesn't get around the pitch amazingly quickly, and
Mhm.
defensively that I worry about.
Yeah, so I think we'd agree that if you were to play Jack Sparks at championship level, you would need, for instance, two sixes and 110, as opposed to, or you, no, let me put that another way. You would need both your sixes to be very defensively switched on, because you need that to sort of counterbalance maybe having a left back that you're not 100% on out of possession. So that would probably impact the dynamics of your midfield.
Uh, yes and no. I think
Okay.
another way around it is, and Mousinho's talked about this, so this isn't like a pie in the sky idea from me. Regan Paul at right back, and then you play a back four of Paul at right back, Shaughnessy with McIntyre or Ogilvie at centre back, and then Sparks at left back, and then you can kind of get away with it. And then I guess if you have a midfield of at the moment it's like Hack and Moxon, you might be okay. You might be okay. And that's something that you probably use late in games where you want to win, but I think there are ways around it. It's really annoying because Sparks is so technically gifted, and whenever you say something bad about Sparks, you often hear back, well, he got X amount of assists. Look at his crossing. Like that
Mhm.
is all true.
Yeah.
But as soon as our set pieces and our crossing goals dried up last season, he was a real liability because then you don't get the upside. You only get the downside of his defensive acumen.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes sense. So just talk me through that other idea that you had, or John Mazzini, you and John
It's a
Mazzini
joint
had.
effort. It's a joint
Yeah,
effort.
definitely. Yeah, exactly. Um, I mean, were you thinking invert Jack Sparks into midfield and then Regan Poole tucks in to make like a back three, or are you literally thinking like a back four with just Regan Poole at right back and then
Sort of. So I expanded on it in my Sammy Silvera article, which is available on my Medium page now.
go check it out?
So it would be so in possession anyway, it'd be a back three of right to left, Paul, Shaughnessy, McIntyre slash Ogilvie,
Okay.
midfield two, Pack and Moxon at the moment, and then your front five, left to right, Sparks, Silvera, Bishop, Lang, Lane. I'd be pretty comfortable if we had to roll that out at some point.
I see that makes sense. So like a kind of a 3-2-4-1 kind of
Yeah,
type.
or a 2-3, 2-3-4-1.
Two
It just
three.
depends on how many. So, if for example, if the opposition had two strikers up, you play 3-2-5. If they had one striker up, you play 2-3-5. It just depends on the dynamics. But
Okay,
if you
interesting.
can get Sparks high and wide, and you get Silvera or Murphy driving in and creating space for him, you can get a lot of goals off the back of that. But You just got to weigh up the negatives.
Yeah, yeah. It would be one of those game state ones where, you know, maybe later in a game that might make sense. Yeah. Okay, so hopefully Jack Sparks can work on his defensive game, because I think he's going to need to if he's going to be part of the squad. But I agree. I think you're definitely going to need another left back. So hopefully you can recruit the right one. Central midfield then. Marlon Pack's not renewed yet. Do you think he is?
He
Oh yeah.
has
Oh, sorry, he has renewed. Oh, my apologies.
2-year deal.
Oh, that's a relief. Right. Okay. Let me take two. Jack, you must be delighted that Marlon Pack has signed a new contract.
That's news to me. I never knew that. Ah, wow, what a positive surprise. Yeah, I'm over the moon. Yeah, he's the governor. He's a Pompey boy. He's so good. And I think the positive thing is that he never, like, this sounds like an insult, but his brother used the same term, so I get away with it. He never really had the legs anyway, so it's not like you're going for a player who's really fast, who's then stepping up a level and they've got no pace anymore. He's always kind of used his game intelligence and his technical ability to get him out of trouble, not his physicality.
Mhm.
And I think, yeah, just that deep line conductor. Also, he's pretty good for a goal, whether that's coming late to the box or from a corner. Yeah, it's just I'm so happy he's renewed, because he's living all of our dreams, and doing it to a very, very good level.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's got his there's like 10 of his family who are who are at all the games as well. So that must have been amazing for them as well to watch, who are all Pompey fans to watch that last season. So no, that's great news. Then we're looking at the other central midfield options. You've got Tommy Lowry, you've got Owen Moxon, and you've got Ben Stevenson. And which of those would you say you trust most at championship level?
Um, Probably Owen Moxon, but
Okay.
I think they've all got downsides. I think Ben Stevenson won't be in the group next season, or this season rather.
Okay.
I like Ben. I think he's a really capable player, but I think probably deserves to be playing football. So loan him out or sell him to League Two or League One.
Hmm.
Um, Lowry is a really tough one, because on the ball, there's not many players in the squad like him, or even in the league like him, to be honest. Um, but the issue is injured all the time, all
Hmm.
the time. So I have concerns there. But if you can get, 20 plus games of Tom Lowry in a season, I don't think he'll be on the highest wages, so you can stomach it. Um, Owen Moxon, really, really good qualities there. So much potential. A bit all over the place positionally. He's a bit Hollywood, which I do appreciate, and he gets some really good moments. But I think he hasn't quite got that discipline or the ability to control the tempo of a football match.
Hmm.
But if you line up with Pack and Moxon in midfield, I'm fine. I'm fine with it. I think there are some blind spots there with Owen.
Is there a world though, Jack, where Owen Moxon ends up being better in the championship because you're against sides that might be putting more pressure on Portsmouth, so he's going to go for those longer passes that might split teams open, and actually that's more likely to work more often in the championship because opposing sides might be further up pitch or in a different shape, so you're able to kind of cut them open a bit differently.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And on top of that, he's just an amazing ball winner. I
Mhm.
did when he signed, I put a graph together of progressive actions on one axis, and I think it's defensive duels one on the other one, and he was right at the top for both progressive actions, so that's carries and passes, and breaking up play. He is one of my favorite types of midfielders is a ball winning midfielder who can progress the ball. That's the dream for me, and Moxon is exactly that. Rides contact really well. You can kind of give him the ball and he'll just carry it, and he'll kind of take the sting out of things.
Mhm.
So he has, yeah, he maybe didn't have the most amazing last season for both Portsmouth or Carlisle, but yeah, he can definitely be a force in the championship.
Let's hope that's the case. But yeah, maybe one more midfielder to come in to sort of strengthen the options there, especially if, like you say, Ben Stevenson gets offloaded permanently or on loan. We've talked about the right wing, so I wanted to come to you on the left wing, where you've got quite a few options, haven't you? Because you've got Paddy Lane, who has that relationship with Jack Sparks, which we've touched on. You've poached Murphy from Oxford United, who scored a lot of goals from the left last season. You got Sammy Silvera, who again looked like a really mercurial talent at Middlesbrough, and you got him on loan from the same league. And you've got Anthony Scully still there as well, although he's another one who might get offers from League One. So we'll have to see on that. But again, left wing looks like a really competitive area, doesn't it?
Yeah, especially the kind of the main three names of Paddy Lane, who I actually think will play quite a bit of football on the right wing this season.
Okay.
I reckon. Josh Murphy, who when I released my recruitment document, which I apologise for because it's way too long, I suggested we sign Josh Murphy, and that has come true, which is music to my ears. And yeah, Sammy Silvera is a bit streaky and a bit raw, but he's so fun. He's so fun. And I think if he has a good year of football, he can really crack on and be a top championship player, because it's really tough moving across the world and adapting to a new country, especially one as cold as England compared to Australia. And he seems like a really good character, some really good qualities that will work for us. And
Mhm.
you look at Josh Murphy, who I love, but he's had availability issues and consistency issues in his past. So if you go, Josh, you're not available for today. Oh, who are we going to bring in? Sammy Silvera. It's not bad, is it? And
Yeah.
Anthony Scully, I feel really bad for Scully because I'm not sure he's ever played a game for Portsmouth in which he was fit. Genuinely, he's never had the conditions to succeed. I think whenever he's played, he's kind of normally had Ogilvy at left back, which doesn't work with what Scully
Mhm.
brings. So
Yeah.
I feel bad for him really. I'd like to see him get loaned out so we can have another try in the championship next season, but we'll see.
Mm. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I think the left wing looks like a very congested area. So interesting to see what Paddy Lane can do and whether actually he might be able to link up quite nicely with Jordan Williams as well. Because you've got Jordan Williams providing the athleticism and then Paddy Lane cutting in onto his left foot, and that could work quite nicely. Although I agree, I think another right wing option is needed. Callum Lang, then Jack, talk to me about Callum Lang.
Yeah, I love Langy. On the night out after we won the title, I sung Wonderwall with Callum Lang, which was a great moment. Although I did get my phone out to get a picture, and we kind of stood arm in arm, and I had my phone up, and I went over to my mate. I was like, "Got a picture of Callum Lang, got a picture of Callum Lang." I got my phone up, and it was the blurriest photo you've ever seen because I forgot to take the
Oh,
live feature off.
oh, damn it.
But you just make out this in. But in terms of football wise, I think the biggest thing for Lang is he has to play in that right channel. Every good Callum Lang performance, both for Pompey and Wigan, has come in that right channel. Every bad Callum Lang performance for whatever club he's playing for has come on the left. And there are a few games at the end of last season where he was shoved out to the left, and just a complete shadow himself. Kind of didn't really bring anything apart from energy. So for me, if the right back is the one that gets high and wide, you have to play Lang on the right, because if he plays as a 10, he's going to get shoved out to the left because of the way the pitch balances out. Whereas if
Could
the
you
left back
just
gets high,
explain that to me? So
gone.
you think that if Callum Lang plays as the number 10, he's going to shift out to the left? What's the sort of I'm sure I'm absolutely certain that's right. I'm just curious to hear the rationale for it.
So normally we want to make a line of five at the top of the pitch. So if we play a 4-2-3-1, so you got room for +1. So if the right back pushes on, the right wing tucks in, and the 10 has to push over to the left side of the pitch. So you've got a balanced front five.
Okay.
Whereas I'll get let me get the tactics board out.
Yeah, please.
Right.
I'd love that.
So let me just rearrange this quickly. So you're doing this live. You've never done this before. So if the right back gets high, it's mirrored,
Okay.
right? He's gonna have to push on. Right wing's gonna have to tuck in,
Okay.
which means the 10 has to come out to the left-hand side
I see.
whenever push is an
Yes.
issue. And Callum Lang is not good on this side of the pitch. Whereas if, let me reset it, if the left back pushes on, the left wing tucks in, and the 10 pushes out to the right channel, and
Ah.
the right
Okay.
wing holds a width. And Lang, as we said, is not great on the left-hand side of the pitch. I'll just tuck it over there.
Mhm.
So the conundrum comes is you have to balance the dynamics on the pitch. It's a really simple detail, but one that can kind of make or break a performance.
Well,
So
that's an
it's all about just
interesting
getting it
one.
right.
That's an interesting one, though, because I wanted to touch on that and actually talk about the role of Jordan Williams. Because if you can actually get the board up, again, if you've just got that behind you, um, I think that because Jordan Williams has played on the right of a back three for Barnsley, and I think that what could be interesting about that is if you um, him as a right-sided centre back actually could be an interesting one with a right winger that's going to stay high and wide because it means that he's going to be very strong in those 1v1 duels. So it might actually be that Jordan Williams does less in terms of going forward and actually does more in terms of guarding against counterattacks and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree. My only concern is that Mousinho did an interview about kind of why he replaced Joe Rafferty with Jordan Williams, and he
Mhm.
highlighted. So he said Rafferty tends to support the right winger from deep, kind of as that outside the back three, whereas Jordan's more used to direct runs from deep to stretch play. So I think he probably has him pegged for a bit of a high and wide role. But and yeah, as you say, if you do have Warden, that's not a person. Williams as the right centre back, you can then push the left back up and have Lang and Paddy on that right channel, which I do like quite a bit. It's all just a balancing act, and it's probably one of them things where you don't really appreciate it. And when you go to a game and you say, oh, I want this lineup, it took me a while too, but you've got to really think about how it looks both with and without the ball.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I really hope for Lang's sake that he plays on the right hand side, not shoved out to the wide right in that channel where he can kind of have a bit more freedom and move with the ball. Because if Lang gets off to a fast start this season, I think he'll be unstoppable. If he gets off to a slow start, I do quite worry for him because he has been a player that's relied on confidence and form quite a bit throughout his career. So we'll see. But I trust Mousinho to get it right.
Absolutely. Um, Christian Sadie, do you know what, Jack? I'm kind of surprised that Christian Sadie was used as a number 10 last season because when I've seen him previously, he's been more of a bit of a pressing striker that's hassling and harrying defences. I wouldn't really have thought of him as being creative enough to play in that number 10 role. So I guess I've kind of been quite surprised that that's where you've used him.
Well, I mean, he hasn't really been using it in the 10 role to be creative. I've not really seen much of that from him. It's more he can bring that pressing and that
Mm,
physicality, which he absolutely does, but it more takes the goal scoring burden off of him because for someone who came in as a striker, I've not seen a less unnatural finisher in my life. He's not the best in front of goal despite scoring some really composed finishes. He's so inconsistent, but what he does bring is ball retention. If you ping a ball to him, it will stick to his feet. Defenders just bounce
mhm,
off of him. I've never seen anything like it. Um, he is quite intelligent with his runs, um, really good off the ball. So although he doesn't bring creativity or loads of goals, there are some qualities that will really work in the championship, and I think he'll do even better this year than they did in League One last year.
mm. Yeah, we'll see. I think he's going to need to add other aspects to his game. I think so.
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely, yeah.
but good luck. Yeah, good luck to him. Terry Devlin, then Jack. Someone who do you know what? I think he was signed from the Irish Northern Ireland last summer, but the problem I think you have is that Northern Ireland play over academic years rather than calendar year. No, they play
Republic of
over
Ireland
calendar
playing,
years rather than academic. Yeah,
yeah.
so basically, he didn't have a full pre-season, is what I'm trying to get at. But when he actually signed, so I'm actually wondering, do you think he could be quite a good option for League One clubs in the loan market because he'll have a pre-season this time around, which he didn't last year?
Yeah, so for me, I love Terry. Someone said I looked like him in one picture, which I didn't agree with, but he's a really good kid. I've met him once, lovely guy. He Mousinho said he wanted to keep him around this season, and I don't agree with that. I think he can have an impact in the championship, sure, but I think for his development, a year of football would be great. I don't actually care if he goes to League One or League Two, as long as he's playing consistently
Mhm.
as kind of a box to box midfielder who can get to the box late, a bit like Scott McTominay in a way. But but yeah, he's just such a good character, so much potential there.
Mhm.
I'm very excited to see how his career goes because he I think next season is his year for Portsmouth.
Absolutely, very handsome guy as well. I've always thought.
Yeah.
Now,
Uh,
so Colby Bishop, then Jack. You've described him as being Portsmouth's most important player. So tell me why you see Colby Bishop having that much importance at Portsmouth.
I mean, in fairness, I think I'll probably describe about 10 Pompey players as that. But yeah, Colby is I think most people, or a lot of people anyway, would figure Colby Bishop and go target man, bit of a bruiser, fox in the box. But I called him the League One Harry Kane for the last kind of year and a half because I mean it. Drops deep, receives the ball, creates space, good pass on him, brutal finisher inside the box. His only issues when finishing a 1v1s outside the box, he's not really got that in his skill set, but his movement in the box is just superb, especially if you look back at we went away to Wickham last season. Look, he scored 2 goals, identical finishes. He'd run from the back post to the front post and have a little flick on, and he does that, I reckon, 8 to 10 times a season. So intelligent. Um, and yeah, gone for 500k from Accrington Stanley. I reckon a good year of football in the Championship, we get 10 times that. It's just everything. He means so much to me, and I hope he never leaves.
Unless Portsmouth get 5 million for him.
Yeah, I mean, I would take 5 million. Yeah.
Get 5 million. Cassini Yengi, though, because that's the other thing. You got Colby Bishop there, but when Bishop was missing for the game against Bolton Wanderers at home around February time, I think, Cassini Yengi came in and played superbly. So it shows, and you won 2-0 as well. So it shows you've got options up top.
Yeah, Cassini is far from the finished article, but you look at him as a player that if he can develop over the next couple of years, can easily play in the Premier League. He reminds me a lot of George Hurst in the way just how direct he is, how dynamic he is. Just ridiculously good finisher, really good feet. I think the next steps for Cassini are his first touch, which is like a trampoline at times, his decision making in the final third, and his overall link up play. If he can work on those 3 aspects, A, he'll be Portsmouth's main number 9. B, he'll be Australia's main number 9. He scored, I think it was 3 goals in 2 games over the international break over the summer. He has so much potential. And yeah, if he can just develop those 3 areas, I think he'll be unstoppable.
Certainly could be. Yeah, really excited to see Cassini Yengi play in the Championship next season. Could really be one to watch. So you've said, Jack, that survival is the expectation for Portsmouth. So if we were to look at how close you are to a best 11 that we're confident are going to be good enough to meet those expectations, I think we can put Regan Poole's definitely in there, Marlon Pack definitely, and Colby Bishop. So those are definitely 3. Which would you add? Let's say Will Norris. Would you put Will Norris in the category that someone you're confident is going to be up to that level?
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Okay. Jordan Williams, I think you've expressed some doubts over right back. So should we sort of come back to that one? Because
so I think just to clarify, I think John Williams is a decent footballer. He'll be absolutely fine for us. I guess with him, it's just a matter of raising the floor, not raising the ceiling. I think the next 2 years he'll be perfectly capable for us, and I'll be very comfortable with him starting. He's still only 24 as well. He's still really young, so I'm fine with Williams starting.
Okay. So if we say Sparks, I think there's probably enough of a question mark over. So I think we'll probably say going to need another left back. Owen Moxon, I imagine you'd say is in a similar category to Jordan Williams, where you're fine with him starting. You wouldn't mind another option, but you're okay with him starting. And then you've got Callum Lang, who again I think we can probably say is going to be up to that level. And I would probably say Josh Murphy as well, or Sammy Silvera. So at the moment, I think you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 players in a first 11 that I think we can be very confident are up to the level, and another couple like Jordan Williams and Owen Moxon that are sort of not far off that. but then you're probably going to need another 3 additions as well in terms of the best 11.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think that sounds about right to me. And I think we could do with a number 10, especially if Williams is one that gets high and wide. I wouldn't mind us. I know his biggest issue is his fitness. But if the rooms are true and we're back in for Tino Anjorin, I think if you can get 20, 25 games of Tino, you're going to really profit from that, and then you can make up the rest of the numbers with between Lang, Sadie, Moxon if we switch to a 4-3-3, which I think we might do at some point. So yeah, I'd love to see us get Tino Anjorin back, or someone of that profile who just gets goals. Just whatever happens, just gets goals.
So are we thinking a 4-3-3 is possible to add more balance to the midfield, or are we thinking actually it'll be a way of incorporating Cassini Yengi as maybe a wide forward, because he can play on either side of a front three and sort of cutting inside and getting into goal scoring areas, so that would be an advantage of a 4-3-3, I guess, as well.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on circumstances and who you have available. But John Mousinho, when he first came to Portsmouth, until Valentine's Day against Burton, it was a 4-3-3 ran with. He only got rid of that after the Plymouth game because the dynamics weren't quite right. But I think we have the personnel for it. Especially, I think as a box-to-box midfielder, you get the best out of Owen Moxon. I think you can get the best out of an Alex Robertson as an 8, who is kind of just given a license to go wherever he wants. But I expect us to start with a 4-2-3-1. Mousinho also tinkered with a 3-4-2-1 or a 3-4-3 a couple of points during the season. So we're flexible and we have got the personnel to really mix things up.
That makes sense. So then, Jack, what would be the biggest reason to believe that Portsmouth can meet their ambitions this season and stay in the Championship?
I'm going to cheat and I'm going to say momentum and Rich Hughes.
Okay.
I think with those, yeah, we'll be fine.
Yeah. Biggest reason for doubt?
I think recruitment, in that I've got no reason to doubt Rich Hughes, but recruitment is one of them where you can have all these targets lined up, but if they all go and you're left with subpar options, I think momentum can only get you so far. That being said, I back John Mousinho to get us through adversity. Look at it last season, we got through all the injuries and stuff, but yeah, also the Championship is really hard. It's really, really hard, and it's all well and good, saying on paper, all right, we've got all these players, we can do these lineups, but it's another thing where you're into November, December, and you're slogging it, and the wins just aren't coming. So I think it's really important for the fans to just don't lose our heads. We're all guilty of it, especially Portsmouth fans, but just remain with the team. Don't whinge and don't moan. I've already seen the moaning start, and I can't do it. I can't deal with it. So just back the boys, and I think we'll be fine.
Absolutely. So too early for a prediction, Jack, but give me a number between 1 and 10 to denote your level of optimism that your ambitions are going to be realised.
8.
8. There you go, very confident. Jack, thanks so much for your time. I really do appreciate your insight on Pompey. It's been great to get your thoughts. Be sure to follow Jack at HancockAnalysis for some excellent insight. This has been the EFL Debate Portsmouth Summer Deep Dive on Portsmouth. If you're watching this on YouTube, drop us in a comment. Let me know how you think Pompey are getting on in the Championship next season. If you're listening on Spotify, please do drop us a review if you've enjoyed the episode. Again, this has been another Summer Deep Dive. We'll see you again very soon.